Tzu Chi volunteers traveled to Myanmar to do a final check on schools built by the Buddhist NGO in Thanlyin Township. We learn more about Dongzhi, also known as Winter Solstice, and how the Hakka people of Taiwan celebrate the occasion. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Nell. Thank you for joining us. Over the past several months, Tzu Chi has been busy building 12 schools in villages throughout Myanmar's Thanlyin Township. As construction is nearing completion, Tzu Chi volunteers flew in from Taiwan to give the schools a final look over. The 4 Tzu Chi volunteers overseeing the building process in Thanlyin Township waste no time after flying in, but immediately head to the building site.
At first, this area was missing support, so the door was wobbly. Just using a little force, it seemed like it was going to fall off. So later, we added support to the area.
From ceilings to floors, no corner escapes the attention of the volunteers. Just because these schools are located in a remote region is no reason not to demand the highest in quality.
Building schools in the countryside takes a bit more effort than building them in the city, as things are spread out, so everyone has to work extra hard to maintain the quality we expect. On this trip, we discovered some minor problems, and before the schools opened their doors, we asked the contractors to repaint the outside walls entirely.
For the construction of these schools, Tzu Chi used recyclable steel. As local construction crews were unfamiliar with such green materials, volunteers offered guidance over the internet, while also periodically flying to Myanmar for first-hand consultations.
The materials we use are more environmentally friendly and are modular in nature, so the building costs are higher than if we were just using steel rods and concrete. However, green architecture is the direction the world is heading now.
With their green credentials, these schools not only bring hope of a brighter future, but of a cleaner earth and cleaner tomorrow. In our last report on the homeless in Manila, we look at how volunteers invited the city's homeless for a haircut, bath, and aid distribution in celebration of the upcoming Christmas holidays. We now take you to the day of the event to see how the event transformed the appearances and hearts of the nearly 1,200 homeless attending. Why the buckets of water and fire truck? It's not a fire, but something else. This is all part of Tzu Chi's holiday season care for the homeless here in Manila, which starts with a shower for both children and adults. 47-year-old Jesus Velicano has been on the streets for 8 years. He says he can't remember the last time he had a shower, but says today will be a day he will always remember.
This year's Christmas has been a joyous one for me, as I can shower and get a haircut. My hair is really too long, but it costs money to get it cut, and here it is free.
There are hundreds more like Jesus who finally are able to wash up to meet the new year fresh and clean. Their appearances transform. Many quickly recover their sense of self-respect.
Without you, I would have never had access to such items. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tzu Chi, for these gifts. Merry Christmas and praise God. I hope every day can be as happy as today.
Bring equal parts blessings and compassion, Tzu Chi has helped Manila's homeless end the year on a perfect note. In the Philippines Leyte province, the construction of prefabricated homes in Palu continues. As most of the casual work program participants are Catholic, Tzu Chi volunteers have been thoughtfully organizing Mass on their behalf. As the Philippines is primary Catholic, Tzu Chi volunteers have been holding Mass for casual work program participants at the prefab construction site in Palu Leyte province every week.
The atmosphere here is filled with joy. Normally, when we go to a Mass, we only listen to the Father talking. We don't usually have this much interaction with others when we are at church.
Tzu Chi volunteers share Jingzi aphorisms with us when they organize Mass. We can encourage ourselves by incorporating these words of wisdom into our daily lives.
Regardless of the differences between faith and faith, volunteers hold Mass on behalf of casual work program participants. Today's Mass is also joined by new prefab homeowners.
I want to thank Tzu Chi and participants of Tzu Chi's Cash for Work program. Without each and every one of you, my family and I would not have a place to live.
Following Typhoon Haiyan, the song You Raise Me Up has become a popular song in churches and community events.
When Typhoon Haiyan struck, I lost 2 of my children. I want to let go of my sorrows and put my heart at ease as soon as possible. Now, with this new home, I hope to live happily ever after.
I
hope my family and I can stay safe and healthy. I want to thank God because now I am a part of the Tzu Chi family.
The volunteers also award casual work program participants who showed the best performances of the week. Group leaders also encourage everyone to donate to Tzu Chi's bamboo coin banks. In the aftermath of Typhoon Haiyan, Tzu Chi volunteer Shi Yaju has been traveling back and forth between the Philippines and Taiwan, offering her assistance. Knowing that Shi is returning home at the end of the Mass, everyone lined up to express their thanks to the dedicated blue and white clad angel. In Taiwan, there is a rise in medical disputes, and those that are related to anesthesia complications are among the top of the list. In reality, although anesthesia is generally safe, it is just that in Taiwan, an anesthesiologist typically has to care for 4 patients simultaneously. And with so little time to make the right decision and administer the right dosage, the job pressures anesthesiologists face are immense. Here's more.
The chance of an allergic reaction due to anesthesia is quite low. Take our hospital, for example. Less than 1 case occurs a year. If a patient develops a subtle reaction like a skin rash, we typically just keep an eye on the patient, as the rash typically goes away quickly. However, if the reaction is more serious, such as the patient going into shock, then our anesthesiologist will immediately perform the necessary medical procedures.
Anesthesiologists help their patients get ready for surgery, but more importantly, they have to make sure their patients can wake up afterwards. In Taiwan, once a patient is under stable anesthesia, an anesthesiologist often has to quickly tend to other patients.
We anesthesiologists are always needed everywhere. Maybe one patient is not yet completely sedated. We already have to go help perform an epidural on a woman in labor. And before that is completed, we are called to help a central venous catheter procedure or something more complicated, like cardiothoracic surgery.
Due to the medical procedures a patient receives after being sedated, things can change very quickly. But typically, an anesthesiologist in Taiwan has to look after 4 patients simultaneously.
A patient may seem to be breathing normally, but suddenly he or she might need tracheal intubation. You just don't have a lot of time, as in 2 or 3 minutes, the patient will end up in a coma. So the risk and stress an anesthesiologist faces to make the right decision and perform the right procedure in that very short amount of time is immense. In the back of their head, they are worrying that if they fail, the patient will end up in a vegetative state or possibly even die.
As surgeries nowadays become more complex and therefore more risky, and with the growing number of senior patients who typically have a weaker cardiopulmonary function, the demand for proper anesthesia continues to rise.
On one hand, there are those complex surgeries, and on the other, there are those that are far less complex, such as gastroscopy and colonoscopy during a health checkup. There's a demand for anesthesia for these procedures as well.
A study conducted by Formosa Medical Association in 2013 shows that nearly 60% of anesthesiologists in the country work overtime and about 55% feel burnt out. The government must do something to help alleviate the pressure and demands on anesthesiologists to ensure quality medical service for all citizens.
In our series of reports on solar terms throughout the year, we have finally come to Dongzhi, or otherwise known as the Winter Solstice. This year, the Winter Solstice fell on December 22nd. Next, let's take a look at how the Hakka people of Taiwan celebrate this day.
The winter sunlight warms up cold bodies. However, on the day of the winter solstice, the sun doesn't shine for long.
In astronomy, the winter solstice is the longest night of the year in the northern hemisphere. Following, the days will slowly become longer and longer.
Winter solstice can also be thought of as the eve of a new year.
After the Song Dynasty, the winter solstice was considered as the end of the year and also marked the beginning of a new year.
Here in Taiwan's Hakka community, many families own a rice grinder. Putting soaked glutinous rice into the grinder, and soon a thick rice milk is made. After wrapping up the grounded glutinous rice with a white cloth, the next step is removing the excess liquid. Although grinding your own glutinous rice is no longer practical, traditional Hakka families don't dare to throw away anything still usable. This is why any dish related to glutinous rice is often homemade. Once sufficient liquid is removed from the glutinous rice, Hakka housewives will call on neighbors to come help knead the grounds and use the time to catch up.
我们现在在做这个是叫什么？
搓汤圆呢？
现在
就在切拌呢，一定要有搓到，没有搓到的汤圆不好吃。
不好吃。
嘿嘿。
好，走吧。
好。
Throwing fried mushrooms and spices into the pot to boil, the savory glutinous rice ball soup is soon ready to be eaten. Many times, a sweet pot of glutinous rice balls will be made as well to suit everyone's palate. Though it is not a fancy meal for a poor farming community of the past, this was quite a treat.
In the past, Hakka people were poorer. Holidays were the only time when a more elaborate dish would be added to the meal.
Besides spending time with loved ones, for the Hakka people, this day has another meaning.
When we call someone a cow, which is an insult, we will say, "You're born on the winter solstice, right?"
To honor and thank the cow, the Hakkanese designated the winter solstice as the bovine's birthday.
On winter solstice, we will stick glutinous rice balls on the cow's horns to honor them.
With the approaching winter solstice, temperatures have dropped, but gardens are still full.
I have planted Chinese mustard and cabbage for pickling, but the harvest is not as good as it was last time.
There's a proverb that talks about the winter in increments of 9, which following the winter solstice, every 9 days is counted as one rotation. Thus, when it gets to be 9 rotations, which is about 81 days, the winter season is about over.
Not only the end, but also a new beginning. With the ongoing loss of tradition, it is nice to know that some people are still holding on to their cultural traditions.
According to Chinese culture, it is a tradition to eat glutinous rice balls, also known as Thanlyin during Dongzhi. However, traditional Chinese medicine doctors say it is also a good time to strengthen the kidneys. But first, we go to Taiwan Tzu Chi Hospital, where Superintendent Jian Shouxing and medical personnel made delicious and healthy Thanlyin for medical volunteers. Taiwan Tzu Chi Hospital Superintendent Jian Shouxing, medical personnel rolled up their sleeves to make delicious and healthy Thanlyin.
We have combined the Thangyuan with the Chinese herbal tonic. It is very different compared to the traditional way of eating it, which is mostly a dessert.
The tonic is cooked using various Chinese herbs, including Chinese angelica, linguistica malichi, and much more. Next, chrysanthemum greens, mushrooms, carrot, bean curd, and celery are added.
We can strengthen our qi by eating vegetables that are cooked with Chinese herbs. It will keep our bodies warm and improve our health.
As soon as the Thanlyin are ready, medical staff personally delivered them into the hands of medical volunteers.
Thank you for making Thanlyin for us. The soup tastes great and is so healthy. The love and care embedded in the Thanlyin and broth have made them even tastier.
Thanks to the dedication of these medical staff, the hearts and bodies of medical volunteers are now filled with warmth and happiness. To dispel cold and to welcome Dongzhi, many people will eat a bowl of Thanlyin during this day.
都是会吃汤圆，然后就是今天是有感觉比较冷，吃汤圆啊。今天好像特别冷吧。
According to Chinese medicine doctors, Dongzhi is also a good time to strengthen the kidneys. Foods such as yam and black bean can improve the body's energy. Grape and pumpkin can strengthen its yin energy. Longyan and black Chinese fungus can enrich the blood, while walnut and cinnamon can strengthen the body's yang energy.
The 5 elements theory is related to our bodies. If we want to improve our yin energy, we need to do so by strengthening our kidneys. Black-colored foods are very good for the kidneys.
Although drinking herbal tonic seems to be a popular way to dispel cold, TCM doctors say exercising regularly and living a balanced lifestyle are still the best ways to stay healthy during the winter months. We now take you to the Tzu Chi year-end blessing ceremony in Malaysia, hosted by the Kuala Lumpur and Selangor chapter at the local Dongzhi Hall. The ceremony will be held 9 times over 5 days, and some 10,000 people are expected to participate.
The Kuala Lumpur Dongzhi Hall in Malaysia is hosting this year's year-end blessing ceremony, and all Tzu Chi's contributors are invited to attend. Many bring their filled bamboo coin banks to share their love.
I'm very happy and very excited. Every year I bring back my coin bank.
A special exhibit called Walking the Bodhisattva Path, following the 6 paramitas, has also been set up to help participants come to understand the deeper Buddhist teachings and how to actualize them in the real world.
We have designed exhibits so that participants can easily come to grasp and practice Buddhist teachings. And when they realize that doing good deeds is so easy, then they will be more interested to do more.
21 years ago, Tzu Chi's Seed of Compassion first arrived in Malaysia. Now there are some 20,000 Tzu Chi volunteers and 40 Tzu Chi service points in the country. And together, they are delivering universal love that crosses all divides.
If thoughts of compassion can manifest into actions to help alleviate sufferings, then you are the savior of the poor, a bodhisattva.
This contraption made of turning wheels at the exhibition hopes to show people that all things are interconnected and that the only way to happiness is through following the Buddhist precepts.
It's like driving. To drive well, we must obey the traffic rules. So to be a good person, we must also act properly and follow rules.
This exhibit is called The Road to Happiness and incorporates concepts from psychology, medicine, and healthy eating. Through easy-to-read illustrations, people of all ages can quickly grasp the idea behind the exhibit.
My eldest son said he will eat less meat from now on because after seeing the exhibit, he feels really sorry for those animals and doesn't want them to be killed.
To inspire more people to protect life by adopting a vegetarian diet, a team of nutritionists is also present to dispel any stereotypes against vegetarianism.
The first and foremost misconception they have is that eating too much soy products will lead to gout. But I tell them if they only eat it 2 or 3 times a week, it really won't affect their body that much.
I have been a vegetarian for some 30 years. Before I became one, I had many illnesses like digestive problems and insomnia. After going meatless, my health began to improve.
54-year-old Cho Jing-feng is a living proof that a vegetarian diet is better for our health. Joining the event with everyone, she also hopes to stay on the road to happiness as she receives Master Zhenyan's blessings.
Yesterday, we looked at how Tzu Chi volunteers in Malaysia decided to reach out to Wang Yishun and his family by fixing their rundown home. Today, we take a closer look at the building project.
Here in Malaysia, volunteer Huang Meizhu wants to do the best she can to help this old house.
We
work around the care recipient schedule. This way they will be more at ease. Originally, I was scheduled to work today, but I took the day off because I needed to discuss things with the contractors. For me, it's more important to be here than working.
In the past 2 weeks of construction, the companionship of volunteers has really changed the care recipient's outlook on life.
When the house is complete, we won't have to worry that the house might collapse at any time. Also, the care recipient has really opened up his heart to us because of this project.
Nearing the completion of the reconstruction, today over 30 volunteers came by to help with the finishing touches. The principal of the care recipient's son also came to lend a hand.
Today, I saw how everyone gathered to help, with some hooking up the electricity, some painting the house, and some moving furniture. It really moved me to work even harder on my task.
It
is this type of selflessness that has volunteers coming together to help the less fortunate.
We go back to Taiwan at the end of the show, where team members in Tainan organize a free dental clinic for residents staying at a center for those with special needs. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.